Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show, and I am your host Paul, and in this video we're going to be breaking down everything we know about the upcoming What If episodes. There's a lot of mystery surrounding the series, and though everything seems completely disconnected, I do believe it's all connected, and that we're building to an all-out multiversal war with all the Avengers coming together for the final episode. This will be to stop one of the greatest threats that the Marvel Universe has ever seen since Scarlett Johansson decided to sue Disney. See you in court. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the apparent episode list and the concepts behind them. I was lucky enough to get early access to the first 3, so I can confirm that at least part of this lineup is correct, and going off what we've seen in the trailer, these do seem like the concepts that we'll be getting. Now, I was put under embargo for the first 3 and told not to really spoil anything, but the showrunners did say what those episodes were, so I think I can at least talk about that. Now, the second episode is What If T'Challa was Star-Lord, and it sees what would have happened had Chadwick Boseman's character been picked up instead of Peter Quill. It's a really emotional episode, and by far my favourite out of the first 3. I think with the first episode that many people complained that it was pretty much just the first Avenger with a Peggy Carter skin on. Whilst I enjoyed it, I also think that's a fair assessment to make, but outside of the first 5 minutes, episode 2 goes off into a completely different direction, and a lot of the characters from the Guardians franchise are changed up massively. There's a big villain who is now one of the good guys, and it's really well made. Episode 3 takes place during the week of Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, and also Thor. In the MCU timeline, these all take place a couple of days apart, and we see as Black Widow investigates the mystery behind who's trying to stop the Avengers from being formed. It's a great little detective story that again divulges heavily from what happened in the movies before, whilst also paying homage to them. Now, like I said, I don't know if these other episodes are definitely these concepts, but this list is pretty widespread now, and it does line up with the trailers. This comes from MCU source, and it says that the 4th episode will feature the Supreme Doctor Strange. In the trailers we've watched as Steven has met a darker version of himself within the multiverse, and this makes a lot of sense to have it as episode 4, as this tends to be the point in a series where writers normally start to explain things. That's not just me being Reach Richards either, and if you look at shows like Westworld, Watchmen, WandaVision and more, writers typically tend to tease what's going on for the first 3 to get people hooked, and then they start explaining things roughly around the 4th. AC Bradley, aka the screenwriter for What If, has been giving a lot of interviews recently to promote the show, and she talked about that episode, listing it as a standout. When discussing the series, she said, "I have a few favourites. The Doctor Strange episode was a very special one to me for writing and going into it. I was quite scared because it features some very heavy themes. I don't think that it's a spoiler to say that it deals with flaws and tragedy. Once I sat down and started working on it, it was actually a very rewarding experience because we got to play around with why does loss hurt so much, and because it all comes down to love. Only the things we love can hurt us. This is the most human episode of the lot, but it also has some beautiful imagery, some amazing action, and hopefully a few good twists. Because of this, I think that Christine Palmer might have died on this earth, and then we'll be seeing a version of Strange that is ripped open the multiverse in order to find a variant of her. We've seen that it is possible to bring characters back like Gamora, and therefore I think that Strange will be attempting to do this with her. Brian Andrews, director for the show, also brought up the entry and said this when going over it. The Doctor Strange episode is a tour de force. It ends in a particular way. You'll know it when you see it. When you actually see it, they're gonna be like, I can't believe they did that shit. Now, interestingly, we've seen in the trailers that Captain Carter meets Strange at some point, and thus we can take it that these episodes aren't standalone and that they will be building towards something bigger. I actually think that the episode will end with Strange coming across Captain Carter, and that he'll basically be the Nick Fury of the multiverse, going around and rounding up the heroes. It is rumoured that Captain Carter is going to be in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and there are also reports that Shuma Gorath is going to be one of the villains in that movie. If we were right in our breakdown, then the big tentacle monster that appeared at the end of episode 1 might be the same as that, and we could see it in live action very soon. There could also potentially be a multiversal war, which we'll talk about later on in the video, but I think that this is an important detail to bear in mind. Now, if you love the video, phase 3000, then I'd massively appreciate the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as we do breakdowns like this each and every day. You son of a bitch, I know you haven't subscribed yet, so bloody click it, it turns red, it looks really good. Now episode 5 is going to be Party Thor, which I'm guessing is what would happen if Thor didn't go to Jotunheim and fight the Frost Giants. What do you mean it doesn't turn red and I've ruined the video? Sod that, moving on. Now, if he didn't go to Jotunheim to fight the Frost Giants, then this would mean that he wouldn't be cast out, and then he wouldn't have to earn his place. In the intro for What If, we could actually catch a beardless Thor, and this could also be the one that we saw in the trailer. Potentially, he's not worthy, and he's just been living the life of Riley, having a great time and not having to deal with any of the problems on Midgard. Now episode 6 is apparently the Tony and Kilmonger one. In the trailer we saw that there was a scene in which we opened with the beginning of Iron Man, but instead of the missile blowing him back, he was saved by Kilmonger. I got a lot of bloody flack for this, a lot of bloody flack I tell you, but in my episode 1 breakdown I did say that in the titles it looked like Kilmonger was the one hammering away on the Iron Man suit with an arc reactor in his chest. People were savage, and it's been living in my head rent-free like Peter Parker, but I'm still pretty sure it's him and that this comes from this episode. Because the missile doesn't explode and blow shrapnel into his chest, he'll never need to have the arc reactor placed into it, and therefore it does make sense that he would invent it for Kilmonger, as at this point he's still a weapons dealer. Obviously if you disagree then let me know in the comments, as I know people have a lot to say on whether this is Kilmonger or not, but personally I'm sticking by it, and if it doesn't come true, I'm just gonna ignore it like I do every time I get a fan theory wrong. Now next is Marvel Zombies, based on the long-running comic series from, well, Marvel. From the toy leaks we know that Peter Parker will actually be a zombie hunter in this universe, and that he'll have Doctor Strange's cape. I'm guessing that means that this Doc is dead in that universe, and it could even explain why the Sorcerer Supreme version is travelling from dimension to dimension and rounding up the heroes. I think this is the one in which we'll see Ant-Man's head in a jar. I'm guessing this is a nod to Reanimator, in which something similar happened, and the undead being around would explain how he's still alive after this. Episode 8 is apparently Gamora vs Tony, and judging by the posters and figures, this will probably be the one in which he wears the Thanos armor. Now again, I can't spoil too much of episode 2, but it could potentially tie in with this universe, and once you see the entry, it'll make a lot more sense as to why Gamora might have taken up her father's quote-unquote destiny. Lastly is apparently the Ultron episode, which I think is going to be where the Multiversal War stems from. By the looks of it, Ultron has completely overrun one timeline, and the heroes are having to be pulled together in order to fight against this. We get an Avengers Assemble-esque shot in the trailers, in which several of the characters from multiple worlds team up, and this includes what I believe is Kilmonger's Black Panther, Thanos Gamora, TChalla Star-Lord, and Party Thor. In the second trailer, we can see Thor fighting against several Ultron bots in Las Vegas, so that just makes a lot of sense to me. Now I did say an Avengers Assemble-esque shot, because in England the movie's actually called Avengers Assemble and not The Avengers, because there was a TV show called The Avengers and also a movie about that which they just didn't want to get confused over. Bit of trivia there for you. Now I'm guessing that Captain Carter will also be in the lineup too, as well as Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. In the trailer we can see that there's a version of Black Widow throwing a shield. I'm pretty sure that this will be from a certain upcoming episode, but I can't say which because of spoilers. Now I think that Ultron's uprising will have destroyed an entire timeline, and from here the machine will be looking to decimate all realities, and thus Strange will have to pull together the heroes to help stop him once and for all. You might have seen that after the release of episode 1 that Marvel did a tie-in promotion with Hyundai in which they showed aspects of this Ultron war as well as the heroes from the show fighting off against this Legion. I think it just makes a lot of sense that this is the direction they're going in, and the heroes might even lose, which could set up events in the second season. We know that Captain Carter is returning for that, and I think it would be great to have the heroes be beaten at the end of episode 9 to tease Ultron tearing across time and space in order to conquer all. In season 2, I'd absolutely love it if they did What If episode 1 had Steve get the super soldier serum instead of Peggy, and it would just be crazy to see this guy in the MCU. I've even mocked up a quick fan poster so we can kind of get a rough idea, and I think that's a direction that they should go in season 2. Thank you. Now that pretty much sums up everything, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on the series. They call me Recaptain America, because I'll be bringing you big recaps and breakdowns on the show every single week. Also, don't forget to drive Hyundai. If you watch the show, you have to put 30 grand down right now on a Hyundai to really just to really enjoy it for what it is. Now, if you don't have that money, good news for you. We are running a competition right now and giving away 3 MCU box sets on the 30th of August. They're not Hyundais, but yeah, they're still pretty good. And all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the series. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of Captain America the First Avenger, in which we've gone through the whole movie and pointed out every Easter egg we could find, as well as how it ties to What If. If not, then thank you for sitting through the video. You've been the best. I've been Paul, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. Peace.